Hey, what's going on guys, TurtyWurty here, and welcome back to another Minecraft modding tutorial for version 1.15. In this tutorial we are going to be going over how to create the GUI for our chest. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you'll want to go and do is go into your client.gui package, which I have in my main package. You can just create that if you haven't already got it. And in here you want a new class called example chest screen. Now GUIs have been renamed to screens. They are no longer GUIs as such. They're now called screens, or at least that's what Minecraft has decided to call them. I don't know why. I think it's a bit dodgy, but we have to stick with it. And this class is going to extend container screen. So if we can container screen, and this takes in our container class, so example chest container, and just like that. In here you first want the resource location for the texture, so that is a private static final resource location, just like that. We're going to name this background underscore texture, and that's going to be equal to a new resource location. First is the mod ID, so that is tutorial mod. Oh god, no. Tutorial mod .mod ID, and then it's the name, it's the location of the texture, so that is textures/GUI, and I have called it example underscore chest.png. Now I have already gone and created the texture. As you can see, it's right here, and that is already saved. This will be in my GitHub if you want to use this one. Obviously if you want to create your own, you can go ahead and do that, but you need to make sure that the slots are in the right place for where you put the slots in the last one, in the container one. So you need to make sure you do get those slots right, otherwise you'll have some issues. And then we can go ahead and create the constructor, so we can actually do that from here and add the constructor. There we go, and we always want to put that below the variables. That's just like a Java convention. And that is the container, the player inventory, and iText component. Yep, that's correct. And it supers off of those. Yes, it does. And then we just need to do a few things. So first, this .gui left we want to set equal to 0. This .gui top we want to set equal to 0. Actually I just closed example underscore chest.png, but we need that. So let me just open that real quick. If it opens, there we go. Open file location, open with paint.net, because we now need to do the texture size. So what you can do is this .x size, and this is basically the size of the texture that you want to be showing. So for me, the X size is going to be this last pixel on the right of the texture that you want to have shown. So for me that is 183. So 183. So we just set the X size to 183. We don't want to show all of this transparent stuff over here. We don't want to show that. We just want to show over to 183, as that saves some rendering. And next is the Y size. So if you just look at the same place, it's the bottom pixel, and that is 100. Oh, I did the wrong one. 175, 183. So the X is actually 175. My bad. And then this .y is 183. Just gotten the wrong way round. Okay, and that's it for the constructor. Now next you need the render method. This is basically where you render stuff. First is a final int, and we can call that mouse x, and then a final int mouse y, and this is a final, and that is partial ticks. Okay, and then you can do this dot render background. There we go. That just calls it, tells it to render the background, and then super dot render mouse x, mouse y, and partial ticks, and then it's this dot render hover tooltip, and that's the mouse x and mouse y. Now this dot render hover tooltip is basically for if you put your mouse over an item, it renders the tooltip for it. So that is just that. Next, you need the draw GUI container foreground layer. So draw GUI container foreground. Make sure you do foreground, not background. In here, you want to use the super. That's correct. And then you want to do this dot font. This is basically for rendering. So the foreground is everything in front of the items, and the background is everything behind the items, or the slots anyways. So this is basically where we're going to draw the names of the inventories. So you do that by this dot font dot draw string. That takes in the text, which is going to be this dot title dot get formatted text, and then the X is basically the position that you want to draw it. So 8.0f and 6.0f for the Y, and then the color. We're going to use the default color, which is just 4210.752. Now you may be wondering, where did I get these floats from? If you just go, so basically this is the title, so that's basically what you've called the container. So if you look at the float, the X is 8, the Y is 6. So if you go up here, you go 8 pixels along, 8, and then the Y is 6. Yep, right there. So you'll see it will start drawing the title from there. It will basically go however far along, and it will do that on the bottom as well. And that will basically just draw the string for the first one. And then obviously you need to do the player inventory as well. So once again, it's this dot font dot draw string, and that is instead this dot player inventory dot get display name dot get formatted text, and that is going to be 8.0f because you want that X to be the same, and I found that the Y should be 90. If you just go down here, so it's basically in here, and there you go, 8 and 90. So that's right there. We did do 8 and 90. So it starts drawing it there and goes along. So it's basically going to cover that space right there. So that is for those. And the color is the same thing. So that's basically the default color for the inventory. And next, or finally, is the draw GUI container background. So this is everything behind the slots, and this we get to use the render system, which is very exciting. So that is from the Blaze 3D that they have done, the new render system. So we do render system dot color 4f, and this basically just colors it. So if you wanted to tint it a color, you could change one of these. It's just RGBA for these variables. So obviously we want 1.0 on all to make sure it goes to the right color. So we want it to be fully transparent. We want it to be fully blue, fully green, fully red. So RGBA. A is alpha, that's just the transparency of it. So 1.0 is fully opaque. And then we do this dot Minecraft dot get texture manager, and then you want to bind texture, and we're just going to bind the background texture. Now, one thing that you probably want to do is make this client only. So you can do that by doing side only. No, it is. What is it? What is it? What is it? It is only in, and then you can do dist.client. I think that's actually the same for the container. No, the container is fine, I think. And yeah, you just want to make sure that is client side, because you don't want the GUI to be on the server, really. And after you bind the texture, you need to blit. So blit is basically it's rather complicated, but it's basically moving it's moving a texture to a different place, basically, in the GPU. I think that's right. It's rather complicated. I don't fully understand it, but don't worry about that. And in here, we just need to blit. We need to do int x is equal, and then in brackets, this dot width, which is the screen width, negative this dot x size, and then you divide that by 2, and then this dot int y, int y is equal, and then the same thing but with height. So this dot height negative, not equals, I didn't mean to put equals, negative this dot y size, and then once again it is just divided by 2. Okay, and then you just do this dot blit. First is the x, so x, and then it's the y, and then it's the offset or the indent, so 0 and 0, and then it's the y size, so this dot x size first, so this dot x size, and then it's the y size, so this dot y size, just like that. And that is now it for the GUI class. Now all we need to go ahead and do is bind the GUI to the container. So let's go into util. Let's create a new class, and we're going to call this client event bus subscriber. Okay. And this is going to have the annotation at mod.eventBusSubscriber, and that's going to take in mod ID. So mod ID is equal to tutorial mod.mod ID, and then it's the bus, which is bus is equal to bus.mod. You need to make sure it's the mod bus, and value is equal to dist.client. So we make sure it's the client bus that is running on. In here we want a subscribe event, and that is a public static void client setup, and that takes in FML client setup events, and we'll just call that event, and import subscribe event as well. And this just take in here, we just do screen manager dot register factory. The factory we do is mod container types dot example chest dot get, and we just bind that with the factory of the screen, which is example chest screen : new, and import that, and yeah, that should be it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. You just need to make sure you do the block state and the block model and the item model for your block. So if you just come down here, make sure you do the block state. I've already done that. Example chest. You need to do the lang. In the lang, you also do need to do container to example chest, and that's there. That's basically what the name will be in the inventory, and obviously you need to do the block as well, right there. You need to do the block model, which I've just done as a normal block model for this, and item model, which is just once again normal item model. And you just need to make sure the texture is in textures test blocks, so example chest, and you also need to make sure you have the GUI texture in textures GUI, and that's example underscore chest.png. Once you've done that, you should be good to run the game. So let's go ahead and do that, and I will see you guys in the game. So one issue I actually did have is right here. I tried to use the object holder. That's not going to work because deferred registries are actually initialized before. So I'm just going to use blocking new .def block instead .get, and that should work. But yeah, basically because object holders are registered after deferred registries, so if you call it beforehand, that means it's null, as you can see right here. So yeah, slight issue I came across, but yeah, I'll see you guys back in the game. Okay, so guys, as you can see, we are now in the game. So if we go into our creative tab and go ahead and get it out, as you can see, it's a great texture. I have textured some of the other items just so just as you can see, like I've made the quarry, which I actually think looks quite nice. I've also done the deferred block. Yeah, I've textured a few things basically, but when we place our chest down, we can open it and we have all the slots in the right places, which is nice. We have the names drawn, which is great. If I put an item in the block and we break it, we get the item dropped out. So as you can see in this one right here, I've got all of our items in the mod. If I now leave the game and I join back, we should see that the items are still in there. So let's just do that. If it wants to save, please, I would much appreciate if it saved. There we go, and just load back into yes. I don't know why the loading and saving times are so slow. Not sure. There we go, we're back in, and all of our items are still there, which is lovely. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else I can show you. Yeah, I mean, that's it. So I hope you guys did enjoy this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please do be sure to smash your face into that like button, and if you would like to see more, please do be sure to subscribe. In the description of this video, because of the recent poll I did on my channel, I will be running a Minecraft server, and in that poll I am going to be having a list of mods, and you would say whether you want those mods in the pack or not. So please do that poll in the description, and hopefully I will be doing some streams on that server once I get it all set up and everything. So yeah, that's very exciting, and I haven't said it on video yet, but and I know it's a bit late, but thank you guys for all the support. I really did never think I would get 1,000 subscribers. I only started expecting to get like 10, if that. I wasn't aiming big, and it's a lot bigger than I ever thought. And I know it's still not massive, but It's a lot bigger than I ever thought I would get to, and I lag. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.